Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to the 2026 ASX Preview by me, the Relaxed Aussie Male, as I go by now. Before I start, just remember I am a bum with a camera. That's it. I am not a licensed professional as far as the market is concerned, at least. So the information provided in this video is for general informational purposes only. The Relaxed Aussie Male, me, assumes no responsibility for errors or omissions in the content or for any actions taken based on the information provided. Always ensure you do your own research and or consult a licensed professional before making investment decisions. Having said all that, let's get on with it. Now, in this video, we'll have a quick look back at what the Aussie market did in 2025, just from the overall perspective, not digging down into stocks. I did have a look at the sectors. If you want to go back and have a look at my last video, that was done just before the end of the financial year. And now this is January 2nd, 2026, this video. So 2025 is done and dusted. After that, we'll review stocks that some viewers actually put in the comments. I did a short. Is that what they called? YouTube short, yeah, on YouTube the other day, and I had a couple of comments there, and also put a don't know what they called, a post up on TikTok. And I'm not into TikTok at all. I've only just started using it. I'm being pretty silly with my account over there. But if you want to go have a look, I don't even know my handle. I think it's like silver.bull5, I think is my handle, because I was going to mainly talk about silver over there, but I had a couple of comments there as well. So I'll go look at the 4 stocks that some of you guys have given me to look at. And then we'll have a look at the sectors that I think are going to do well in 2026, a few individual stocks in those sectors. And then I had a question from a young guy I know, and I'm going to answer that. The question is, when will I sell my silver? So completely different subject, but right at the end, I'll talk about silver for a bit. Okay, so in 2025, that is the XJO. It ended up 6.8% gain for the year. As you can see, it didn't do a lot overall. I would say that's pretty much range bound, apart from that dip back in early April. Beside that, a 6.8% gain, so nothing terrible there, but didn't do a lot, considering what some other markets around the world have done. Now, sector by sector, now those gains and losses were up to the 28th of December, so they are not right to the end of the year. I didn't update them to the end of the year, but I don't think it would have changed too much. I think the last 4 trading days for the ASX were actually down, so they may all be down a little bit, but the clear winner, no matter what, was the materials sector, which ended on top, and the healthcare sector was a clear loser. Well, not that clear, I guess, of information technology. They were both down above 20%. Now, I did, in my last video, make a prediction. Now, remember, these are just my opinions of what might happen in 2026. So if we look forward, what have we got there? The materials sector, which finished in the first position in 2025, I'm predicting it will also finish on top in 2026. I just think it will continue to be strong the way the metal prices and just commodity prices are looking at the moment. I'm suggesting that the energy sector may make some good gains. From 9th in 2025, I've got them up to 2nd in 2026. And 3rd is the consumer staples, which I'm predicting from 8th up to 3rd in 2026. Now, we'll go and have a look at those sectors, those top 3 anyway. I'm going to pick a few individual stocks to talk about today from each of those 3 sectors. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at some of the companies that you guys suggested in the comments the other day. Excuse me, I should have some water, but I don't. Anyway, I'll keep on talking. Now, the first one is a company called Eris Resources. They're a copper theme. Now, two people mentioned this share, at VestSpark and at Stocks Under the Hood. Shout out to both you guys out there. Thanks for taking part. And I had a little look at them. They are a copper play. They've got a market cap of $170 million, and they do actually produce. They've got two operating assets at the moment. I think one is actually working in, and one they're working on getting back into production. They just received an approval for development of their Constellation project. And hang on, where are we? Oh, sorry. Before we even look at that, that's just the copper price going back. What the copper price has done. This is a 5-year chart. As you can see, it's up 61% in 5 years. A lot of work has been done in the second half of 2025. You can see it went from $4.40 up to $5.80 a pound, and sort of made a double top there, sitting around that top at the moment. So very interesting times. It has had a good run with a lot of metals in the second half of last year. So that is the copper price. So just keep that in mind when we look at Eris Resources. Now, this is Eris. As you can see, it wasn't doing a lot through 2025 until September come. And it did get a bit of a rocket up. It went up over 200% in just a couple, well, what was it, maybe 6 weeks. Overall for the year, up 233%. And as you can see, when I looked earlier today, the market is still open as I make this video. But when I looked this morning, it was at 60 cents. So just sort of bumping up against the all-time highs, just as the copper price is doing currently. As I said, they've got a market cap of 170 million. They just received approval for the development of their Constellation project. So that would have been on this day here. Oopsie, gone one forward. That day there. So you can see it got a bit of a bump up from what, maybe mid-50s to the 60 mark just recently. So yeah, keep a lookout for that one. Interesting stock. And yep, thanks to VestSpark and Stocks Under the Hood for suggesting it. Let's move along. Rookie Star Channel. They suggested CXO. Shout out Rookie Star Channel. These channels, I don't know. I haven't actually gone and looked at them myself, but go check them out. Yeah, they may have some info that might be of use, or maybe they don't. I'm not endorsing them at all because I haven't looked at them, but it's good. They're part of the community, obviously. They have interest in the ASX, and if you're watching this video, I guess you do as well, and I do, of course. So you go check these channels out, see if there's something there of benefit, perhaps. Now, CXO, they are a lithium play. The actual name of the company is Core Lithium. Market cap of 730 million. They own the Finniss lithium operation, which is just 88 kilometres. Let me turn this off. 88 kilometres from the Darwin port by Sealed Road. So it's positioned very well. Anything that's sort of that close to a port, it just brings production costs down by a fair heap, rather than having to cart, your produce or your minerals, sometimes hundreds and thousands of kilometres sometimes to get it overseas. They have no revenues currently, so any company that has no revenues, I consider a speculative buy, because you can't really value a company that doesn't actually produce anything at this stage. So they are still a specky, CXO, but yeah, go check them out. As I've said, there's no advice here, just raising shares and these particular ones that have been raised by you. Let's move along. This one, now, as I said, I've got a TikTok channel. I've got 0 followers. I only started it maybe a week ago, and I've got 0 followers on it. I was just going to talk about silver on it. It's a bit of a silly thing, probably not even worth following. If you do use TikTok, and maybe if I do get some followers, I'll start taking it more seriously. It's silver.bull5, I'm pretty sure, if you want to go check it out. Nothing of use on there currently, though. So, yeah, you're taking it on trust. Anyway, Aussie Drifters over there. Thanks, Aussie Drifters. It sounds like a good life you got if you're drifting around. I don't know. Anyway, or maybe you drive cars. Anyway, GLN was the one Aussie Drifters suggested. Now, they're called Gallon Lithium. I've owned these in the past. They've, yeah, I'm pretty sure I lost money on them. I can't remember exactly when it was, but a while ago, a few years ago, probably, yeah, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, perhaps. Looking at their chart there, as you can see, they were rounds bound pretty much through all of 2025. You can see a bit of a breakout there. Really, I guess, no, that's still in the range, probably only in mid-November when it started to take off. And they put on 129% for the year, and they're pretty much at, well, I'm not sure how far back, a few years though, anyway, at highs for that period. They've got a market cap of $370 million. They have a lithium brine project in Argentina. Argentina is a interesting jurisdiction currently. They've got their president over there, Javier Milei, who's very much pro-mining and very much pro-lithium. So that's probably a good thing overall for projects over there and for Gallon mining, or Gallon lithium, I should say. Yeah, and look, they've had a very good six or so weeks. So yeah, well done to Aussie drifters if you're on that one, and I hope you're got your head above water on it. Now the next one we were going to look at, this one from Norman Kenneth McPhee, again over from TikTok. ARL is the share. I wasn't familiar with this one at all. They're called Ardea, I think, Resources, ARDEA Resources. Got a market cap of $125 million. They're actually a nickel explorer. They've got the Gungari hub out in Kalgoorlie, about 500 k's east of where I live. Currently, they have no revenues. Nickel's been interesting. It's obviously been very flat after things were very exciting for it a few years back. I have just noticed, I don't follow nickel closely, but I think last time I looked, there were some green shoots perhaps in the nickel price. It may have bottomed out. And yeah, perhaps that's reflected in this last little leg up here for ARL. Again, they're a company with no revenues, so speculative at this stage. But yeah, go check them out. And as I've said, all these people who are making comments, go check out their own channels as well. See if they've got anything there. But yeah, shout out to Norman Keith McPhee for that one, and hope ARL does well for you. Now, let's move along. What have we got next? Okay, so just looking back at these sectors that we spoke about earlier, and my top 3 predictions, just my opinion, for the top 3 in 2026 were materials, energy, and consumer staples. So I was going to look at a few stocks in each of these, maybe looking at the market leader for each one, and also a stock within that may outperform the sector. Again, just in my opinion. So let's have a look at the first one. And of course, the biggest share in the materials sector is the biggest share on the market in general. That's BHP. They are the big Australian, and they basically cover everything. So if you want exposure to virtually all commodities that Australia produces, BHP have their finger in nearly every pie. So I did buy a few of these. I've been in and out of BHP probably my whole life, to be honest. I've owned them, I don't know, at least 5 times, maybe more, over the course of my life, and generally hold them for a while, then ditch them again. I did buy some, so full disclosure, bought some a few weeks ago, was it? No, it was only early this week. I bought a few, and I probably will add a few more in the coming weeks and months. Looking at what they did this is actually a 5-year weekly chart. So they opened back in early 2021 at 37.96, and they're currently 45.74 when I looked at them earlier today. So in that time, up 20.5%, but basically they are range bound and not doing a lot. But as I said, I'm personally a bit bullish on the materials sector, even though it had a good year last year. I have bought BHP just for that exposure to that sector. And I mean, the biggest company on the market, as I've said, the market cap of about 230 billion, about 4% weighting of the XJO. So they do have a pretty big effect on the market when they move. 3.5% yield, 100% franked dividend. I'm looking at their 5-year beta, which I do look at on shares. I don't know how accurate it is or how much use it is. 0.98. So they're basically in line. As I said, they're such a big company that they do determine a lot of these numbers just themselves. So with beta, I should say, 5-year beta, the number 1 means they're basically moving the same volatility as the market. There's a few other things in there that are measured. But if it's above 1 and it gets further above 1, that's the volatility on a particular stock is higher, and if it's below 1, it's generally lower in comparison to the market. So this is basically at market 0.98. So a good stock to be in, especially if you are bullish on the materials sector. The next one we're going to look at is a smaller company within the materials sector, and again, this is one that I do own, and I've owned them for quite a while, probably too long. The company is CHN. Their Chalice Mining is their name, or Chalice Minerals, one of the two. This is a 5-year chart. As you can see, they've been pretty volatile in that time, although not so much lately. They've been fairly flat. But they opened 5 years ago at $3.82. They hit a high back here. When was this? In 2021, they hit $10. Got a bit crazy there. A low down here just this year of 82 cents and currently at $2.15. Now, I got in this stock when it would have been, I guess, around this period here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but January, no. So it would have been probably around May, June of 2024. Got a little bit excited too early on them. And I think my buy price is around $1.70, $1.72 perhaps. So I've been underwater pretty much the whole time that I've owned them, except maybe now they're sort of coming out of that, hopefully coming out of that base that they've been forming since January 2024, so for 2 years now. They have a mine, I can't think of the name of it now, just north of Perth, about 100 k's north of Perth. I do like things that are close to me, and I think, well, if I ever need to, I can drive out there and have a look, make sure it's all there. It's a good prospect that they've got there with their platinum metals group and the palladium and all the things that go with it. So I think long term, if they can get everything to the point where they get the minerals out of the ground, I think they will be a nice company. As I said, I keep saying this is just my opinion. Definitely do your own research because at the moment they are a specky. By my standards, they do not have any revenue, so they're a speculative buy. I think the chart looks pretty decent there. They're just sort of broken out of that range. They broke out. Let's move my head here. They sort of got above that $2 mark, come back down, and now we'll see what happens for the next few years on them. As I said, I do own. So what was next? If we have a look, the second one was the energy sector that I put at number 2 for 2026. So let's take a look at a couple in there. Well, let's start with having a look at the crude price. This is weekly for the last 5 years. So as you can see, it says we're up 19.3%, but it's been very volatile in that time. Starting down here at $48, hitting a high there of nearly $130. Back in 2022. And since then, it's pretty much been a downtrend. And I guess what do I say about picking bottoms? You get dirty fingernails. I guess that's what I'm trying to do here is try and pick a bottom on these stocks. What I've sort of noticed more recently is a bit of a divergence from the price of the oil to the price of the stocks. The price falling doesn't seem to have the same effect. It feels like these oil stocks may have found a bottom. Well, I guess we'll wait and see in the long term if that's correct. The first one I'm going to look at, I did buy these the other day. WDS, which is Woodside, of course, the biggest oil miner, oil, are they miners? Yeah, let's just go with that. Driller, maybe, I don't know. On the ASX, the market cap of 45 billion. Actually, I should say CHN, I didn't mention their market cap, 852 million for them. But Woodside, 45 billion. They've got a 6.9% yield currently. This is all according to CommSec. Hopefully it's correct. 100% franked dividends. They've got a beta of 1.22, so a bit more volatile than the market in general. But yeah, it's a tough. Well, I think a bit like CHN. I think I'm right on CHN, but my timing was wrong, and that could be the same case here. I think in longer term, medium term, perhaps 5 years, I think I'll be okay with Woodside, but I may have got in a bit early, perhaps. Again, trying to sort of pick the bottom. I don't think these are sort of desperate times to be getting into oil stocks. I think there's still going to be opportunities for a while yet. But anyway, we'll see how we go with it. As I said, I bought them a little while ago, a few days ago. I think I'm in about 23.40, something around there. And I will add to that position as time goes on, and I'll get a bit more confidence about any moves in oil and oil stocks. So that is one, that's Woodside. And looking at a smaller company within that sector, in the energy sector, this one is Karoon. Again, they're a similar company to Woodside. I've got no information on them. They've got a 4.6% yield, so they are a producer, but they don't frank their dividends at all, so you pay your own tax. The beta of 1.27, which is similar to Woodside, so they're fairly steady. They're not too volatile. Market cap of around 1.1 billion, so they are a relatively small company compared to something like Woodside, at least. Again, I have bought these just yesterday, I think. $1, or it wasn't yesterday because it was closed, must have been Wednesday. $1.55.5 was my buy price on them. Not a huge amount. Again, I may add over time. Not confident at this stage with oil. But yeah, if we're looking longer term, perhaps. Good song. Okay, so that is the oil sector. This video has already gone 22 minutes, so I thought I'd wrap it up in that time. But anyway, we'll keep going. It is what it is. Now, the third sector to look at, which I put in third here, is consumer staples. And it's a bit of a flight to safety. I guess what I'm thinking overall is that there may be a bit of a downturn, especially in the US, with the way they've been flying for so long. So it's a bit of a sort of a flight to safety, and I think that's where the top three sectors, that's where I see them. So that's why I've gone consumer staples as my third choice. The biggest company, I think they're the biggest. They'll be up there anyway. Coles and Woolies. Coles have had a fairly decent 5 years. I mean, not great, I guess, up 16.7%, but I thought it could have been a little worse than that. They've had a lot of spotlight on their profits and those sorts of things, but they're a good solid company who just continue to be a market leader in the country. They have a market cap of just under $30 billion, 3.5% fully franked dividend, and they've got a beta of 0.68, so they're quite steady. As you can see, they've had a fairly decent run from early 2024 until now, from around $16 up to hit 24, so they're up 50% over those 2 years, but then just come back a little, sitting at about $21.40 currently. Another one in that sector, which I sort of like, and I don't own these next ones, but they may be something I do add in the coming days and weeks, months perhaps. That company is Grain Corp. Just looking back at their 5-year chart, they've pretty much been range bound, I think you would say. They opened at $4.19, had a high of $10.86 in the last 5 years, a low of $3.95, which was sort of way back here, back in 2021. They've closed just recently at $7.20. They, I can't think what the news was now. I did read it. I can't remember what it was a few days ago when they dropped from the mid-8s to the sort of high 6s there. As you can see, I've drawn a line here just showing that that sort of 675 region where they dropped to the other day has been well supported over the last 3-4 years now. So it seems like that is a bit of a base. I guess anything closing below that sort of low sixes may be a worry. But this is a company that I'm fairly keen on if I'm right about sort of the macro issues with the world. They're currently a 4.9% fully franked dividend, beta of 0.73, a $1.6 billion market cap. They've disappointed me in the past. I have owned these shares in the past. I used to trade them when I was trading. They were quite a tradable share, and I think I have a good feeling about them. Don't have the figures, but I think I'm probably up on them over time with my trading, not so much with my holding. Don't hold them currently, but maybe one I'll be looking at in the next few weeks, perhaps. Anyway, I'll leave it there as far as stocks are concerned. I'm just going to finish off with one question that I was wanted to talk about. I was talking to a young lad. I work part time, and there's a young lad I work with, and he's very switched on. I get on quite well. I like the way he thinks and the way he's thinking of his future, which not a lot of young people do. Actually, there's two people I work with, and he is one of them that sort of has sort of that long-term outlook on life as a young person in their early 20s, which I wish I did when I was in my early 20s. And I was talking to him last night. I've got a little bit of silver, and I talked to him about that, and he asked me when I was going to sell my silver. And we were talking about it, but then we got busy and we didn't really finish the conversation. So if he's watching, shout out. I won't say his name, but he'll know who he is. And I thought I'd answer the question here. My answer is I would never sell my silver because I bought the silver as a hedge against the fiat currency, because the price of silver is not really going up. It's just the fiat currency value is going down. So it takes more of that currency to buy the silver. So I'm not going to sell it and put the money in the bank, put it that way. So my answer to that question is I would never sell my silver, but I would swap it for something of value. And there's only two things that I would swap my silver for. That would be gold. I would buy gold with it, or swap it for gold. I think a point that I may do that is if the ratio between silver and gold got below 20. I think if it got there, I would probably start having difficulty sleeping, thinking that silver's probably run well ahead. I mean, gold's around 4,400 currently, so if silver got to 220, assuming gold didn't move at all, I would start to probably get a bit concerned about where silver was. So that would be a point where I'd start thinking about it and swapping it out for gold. And the other thing I would do with silver, if it ever got to this point where I could buy a block of land, that would be the only other thing I would swap it out. I guess I would have to sell it for fiat currency, then use that fiat currency to buy the land. But that would be the only other thing that I would possibly buy with it or swap it for. So that's the answer to that question. And well, we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, silver's had a mad year. Looking at it again this morning, the buying seems to be back, at least today. It was up a couple of dollars. Last time I looked, around the $74 an ounce mark. So very interested to see what silver does in 2026. Other than that, this video has gone longer than I thought it would. Thank you for watching, and that's my disclaimer again. Just take everything with a grain of salt. Everything you hear on YouTube, take with a grain of salt from anyone. It doesn't matter whether they're got great qualifications as well. They don't know your circumstances. They don't know your mindset, and you've really got to make your own decisions at the end of the day, because no one cares about your own health and wealth as much as you do. So be very careful about that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic 2026. As far as this channel is concerned, I've been really crap and just lazy for quite a few years now. It's been sitting here doing nothing. I made a decision a few weeks ago that 2026, I'm going to make sure I start dedicating a bit more time to it again. There were some people that I used to, they were contemporaries. We had small channels each back in 2018 maybe. I see Brandon from, I think his channel's called New Wealth, has gone just from strength to strength, over 1 million subscribers now. I'm 100% jealous. Maybe I should have just kept on going, and maybe I'll be there myself. But then again, maybe not. But anyway, I'll see how I go. It's not about subscribers at the end of the day. It's just about sort of building that community. And I started to do that last time. Got 3,000 subscribers, and then I stopped. So I feel like I'm older and wiser now, even though I was probably mid-40s then. Now I'm early 50s. And we'll wait and see. The proof will be in the pudding. See how we go in 2026. Anyway, I better go. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.